When Iran began implementing the nuclear deal on January 16th this year, world powers, including the U.S., allegedly granted Tehran special exemptions to the limits on its nuclear program, all in secret. This, according to a new analysis of the deal by longtime expert on Iran's nuclear program, David Albright.
We were surprised about the number and, again, the secrecy. If it's not a big issue, then why is it secret?
Today, State Department spokesman John Kirby said confidentiality was part of the nuclear agreement from the beginning, and that Congress has been kept in the loop. More broadly, he countered,
the Joint Commission has not and will not loosen any of the commitments, and has not provided any exceptions that would allow Iran to retain or process material in excess of its JCPOA limits that it could use in a breakout scenario.
In other words, no exemptions, he claims, to the Iran nuclear deal. Albright's response?
The exemptions were decided upon prior to implementation day, so that when implementation day happened, Iran was in full compliance.
The exemptions, Albright says, loosen restrictions designed to lengthen Iran's so-called breakout period, the time required to build a nuclear weapon if Iran were to exit the nuclear agreement. One exemption, he says, allows Iran to hold more than its agreed limit of 300 kilograms of low-enriched uranium, if that uranium is in waste form. But that waste could conceivably, Albright says, be recovered and converted into a form usable in a nuclear weapon. Another exemption allows Iran to operate 19 so-called hot cells, and larger than the agreement set. Why is that important? Because larger hot cells could be used to produce plutonium, a second path to a bomb.
Head of the Atomic Energy Organization of Iran says operations to build 2 new nuclear power plants will kick off in the country's south within 10 days.
We have set September 10th as the definite date for starting the projects of Bushehr 1 and 2 power stations. These bring to 3 the total number of plants in Bushehr compound.
As announced earlier this month, the power plants are to be built with Russian assistance.
An anonymous source told Radio Free Asia special units have been formed since March to carry the weapons and had been taking part in simulated training exercises with dummy bombs. Outstanding soldiers were selected from each reconnaissance platoon and light infantry brigade to form the nuclear backpack unit the size of a battalion, the source from North Hamgyong province was quoted as saying. The supposed weapons were said to weigh between 10 and 30 kilograms and be able to spray radioactive material, possibly uranium, on the enemy.
Pope Francis proposed on Thursday that caring for the environment be added to the traditional 7 works of mercy that Christians are called to perform, which include feeding the hungry and sheltering the homeless. The Pope, who has been a vocal advocate for action against climate change, said the faithful should use the Holy Year to ask forgiveness for their sins against the environment and to acknowledge our sins against creation, the poor, and future generations. The Pope made his comments in a message to mark the Church's World Day of Prayer for the Care of Creation, which he instituted last year to highlight his ecological concerns.
With mere months left before leaving the White House, President Barack Obama is in Hawaii on a whistle-stop climate change tour, calling for $10 billion in yearly conservation funding.
Thank you, everybody. Please have a seat. From here, I'm going to be traveling to China, where we'll be meeting for the G20 summit, and climate will be a centerpiece of our agenda. Joint U.S.-Chinese leadership on climate was part of the reason that we were able to get Paris done, and I'm going to push to build on that record as long as I occupy this office and probably even after I leave it. You know, there's an old Hawaiian proverb that loosely translates to unite to move forward.
More than 1,000 people in East Chicago, Indiana, are scrambling to find new homes. Their entire neighborhood is contaminated with lead and arsenic. The federal government knew about this for years, but apparently no one told the residents until recently.
Anna Areola had her 3-year-old son screened for lead today. They just moved to the East Chicago area, and she wanted to make sure he was okay. So far, he's safe. Not the case for 2-year-old Samira Allen, whose lead levels are 6 times higher than normal. Her parents, Chantel and Charles Allen, have lived in the West Calumet neighborhood for 6 years. They say all 5 of their children's lead levels are in the danger zone.
I mean, we are walking and living in poison. So I feel like they should be taking this a lot more serious.
In 2008, the Environmental Protection Agency declared the West Calumet neighborhood a contaminated Superfund site built on top of an old lead refinery and addressed cleanup options with the city. But according to the mayor's office, it wasn't until May of this year, 6 years later, that the EPA shared alarming contamination levels with the city. Residents of this low-income housing complex were living on lead-laced soil, 66 times higher than what's considered safe.
It was like visiting a cemetery, pure sadness. That's how one woman described seeing millions of dead honeybees in Dorchester County, South Carolina. And an aerial spray of a pesticide used to control mosquito populations is to blame.
I couldn't wrap my head around the fact that we spray poison from the sky.
Beekeepers in the area say their colonies dropped dead almost immediately after the spray was distributed on Sunday. A bee farm in one town lost about 2.5 million bees on the spot. The pesticide the county used is called Naled. Officials sprayed to kill mosquitoes that carry viruses like Zika and West Nile. Naled has been registered for use in the U.S. since 1959 and is primarily used to control adult mosquitoes. But it is toxic to other insects, birds, fish, and even humans.
Well, a significant discovery in the fight against the Zika virus today. Officials have detected that the virus entrapped mosquitoes for the first time in the U.S. Health authorities discovered 3 pools of insects with the virus in Miami Beach. Florida's agriculture commissioner calls the discovery disappointing, but not surprising. 49 people in Miami-Dade County were diagnosed with Zika over the past month.
This is not an alarm. This is just a reminder that, yes, there are obviously mosquitoes out there carrying this stuff, and it just redoubles our commitment to what we've been doing.
The Zika virus has reached a new level of dangerous as more evidence appears that Zika can also bring about a paralyzing side effect called Guillain-Barré syndrome. Cases of Guillain-Barré have been popping up all over countries already infested with Zika. Medical officials say the rates have doubled, confirming that during the weeks of Zika virus transmission, there were significant increases in the incidence of the Guillain-Barré syndrome as compared with the pre-Zika virus baseline incidence.
New at 5:30, some important information for parents who have students getting ready to go back to school. A new state law took effect today in New York requiring certain students to be vaccinated against the deadly meningitis disease.
Did it hurt?
No, not really.
7th grader Danique Little showed off his Band-Aid shortly after getting the meningitis vaccine.
I'm just glad that I got the shot so I know that I can't get sick.
Across the state, parents are scrambling to comply with the new law requiring all 7th and 12th graders to be vaccinated by the first day of school.
Walmart is eliminating about 7,000 office jobs at stores around the country. The Wall Street Journal reports that the retail giant plans to get rid of accounting and invoicing positions at its stores. Starting next year, those will be handled at a central office or by new money-counting cash recycler machines. Long-term employees usually hold these jobs, and they are often higher paying than most other retail positions. The company has said that many of those employees will be given the opportunity to transfer to customer-facing roles. However, a Walmart spokeswoman told the Wall Street Journal that she couldn't confirm the employees would be able to keep their current wage level.
Storm Hermine intensified overnight in the Gulf of Mexico and now could be the first hurricane to strike Florida in 11 years.
Relentless rainfall, howling winds, and rising waters pummeled Florida's Gulf Coast as outer bands from Tropical Storm Hermine pushed toward the Sunshine State.
A little nervous, a little more than a little nervous.
This is my parking lot. I don't think I can park there.
Overnight in Sarasota, voluntary evacuations were underway. Emergency crews navigated through waist-deep water looking for anyone possibly trapped.
Officers were actually, they are coming up to me and their gun belts are underwater. They are actually up to here in water.
The storm has yet to make landfall, but has already submerged streets in the coastal town of Gulfport and dumped more than 9 inches of rain on parts of the state. Governor Rick Scott has declared a state of emergency in more than 50 Florida counties.
We have 8,000 members of our National Guard that are prepared to be mobilized, but you as an individual have to do your part. Have water, 3 days of water, 3 days of food. And if you think you might need to go to a shelter, know where a shelter is.
Schools here are closed today because they're expecting as much as 20 inches of rain. And to make matters more difficult, there could even be tornadoes here in Florida and in Georgia.
Astronomers have marked a rather risky close shave involving an asteroid the size of a blue whale whizzing between the Earth and the Moon. The sky watchers in Brazil had discovered the asteroid named 2016 QA2 the day before it zoomed by within 80,000 kilometers of Earth. In astronomical terms, the near miss has been interpreted as a hair's breadth. Even though the majority of objects near Earth pose little real threat to us, astronomers are closely monitoring a number of them which are potentially dangerous. An object the size of 2016 QA2 would only do significant damage locally and would not be enough to wipe out civilization.
According to the U.S. Geological Survey, a 7.1 magnitude earthquake struck early Friday morning off the coast of New Zealand. USGS geophysicist John Bellini said in a statement that the Pacific Tsunami Warning Center has not issued a warning, but a very small tsunami was confirmed to have the northern coast of New Zealand. The quake, which occurred 19 miles beneath the Earth's surface, struck 352 miles northwest of Wellington, New Zealand. It was also said to be powerful enough to wake up residents in the city of Auckland as well.
Minutes after Ali Bongo was declared the winner, they took to the streets in their hundreds, singing in chorus the name of Jean Ping, whose victory they believe was stolen. Suddenly, the deafening sound of a stun grenade kicks off an afternoon and evening of clashes. Anti-riot police push back with tear gas as angry protesters set fire to barricades. Near Jean Pin's headquarters, his followers disperse in a panic. As a few hundred meters away, public buildings, restaurants and businesses burn and lootings begin.
Venezuelans continue to demand President Nicolas Maduro's removal. Thousands protested in the streets of its capital in the great takeover of Caracas on Thursday. Opposition leaders spent weeks traveling the country promoting a peaceful march. And at one point, government officials shut down metro stations and were blocking buses packed with people from entering tunnels into the city. This is the latest attempt to remove Maduro from office, but it's just one part of a greater effort.
Voy a luchar hasta el final, hasta donde pueda, por el futuro de mis hijos.
The opposition party is in stage 2 of a recall referendum process, and it needs to collect about 4 million signatures to start the recall. But Venezuelans are starving.
Mira como yo era yo de gordo, Mire cuántos huecos le echaba la correa, la dieta de Maduro.
They face a recession that has caused hyperinflation, looting, and food shortages.
I'm 77 years old, and this is the first time that people are hungry, and they won't admit it because they are Chavistas, she says.
Finally tonight, a mother in Tallahassee, Florida, posted online a photograph of her son and his new friend. The photo went viral, and the story behind it is one of the most touching we've heard in a while.
Montford Middle School's cafeteria served up something special on Tuesday. A handful of Florida State football players were visiting and walked in for lunch. One of them, Travis Rudolph, the team's star wide receiver, noticed one 6th grader in particular.
I saw him by himself, and I was just like, yo, can I have a seat with you and eat with you? He was like, sure, why not? You know, we just started off having a good conversation.
I was sitting on this side.
That kid was 11-year-old Bo Paskey.
You looked up, and there he was?
Yeah.
And what did he say?
He said, "What's up, dude?"
Someone nearby took this photo of Bo and Travis having lunch. Notice everyone else in the picture is sitting far away. You see, Bo has autism and often eats lunch by himself.
On the days that he's sitting alone, I think those are the days that it bothers me more than it bothers him.
Leah Paskey is Bo's mother. She posted the photo to Facebook saying, "This is one day I didn't have to worry if my sweet boy ate lunch alone because he sat across from someone who is a hero in many eyes." Her post went viral.
I'm just moved with emotion at his generosity and his kindness. I don't know what made him pick Bo, but I'm so grateful he did.
Rudolph to the 10 with a... Travis Rudolph could score 1 million touchdowns this season and never come close to making one family so happy.
I haven't gone through bullying, but I've seen it, and I don't like it. I don't approve of bullying. I feel like that's wrong. Honestly, that's a cool person. I'll hang out with him any day.
Bo! Right here.
It gets better. At school today, all the kids wanted to have lunch with Bo.
I'm a superstar. Everybody recognizes me.